Hello. Tonight's topic is light and the endocrine system. When I say light, I'm not referring to the metaphorical or spiritual light. Instead, I'm talking about the visible light that we can see, in particular, sunlight. Sunlight is the electromagnetic energy coming from the sun, which takes about 8 minutes to reach the earth. It consists of light that we can see and lights that we can't see, namely ultraviolet and infrared light. We typically see sunlight as a whitish, yellowy kind of light, but it actually is comprised of the full spectrum of colors. Ultraviolet light is the electromagnetic radiation with a frequency higher than the violet light, beyond our ability to see. Very little UVC gets through to us, which is a good thing, because it has been described as lethal or having germicidal properties. UVB is a small percentage of the UV light, but has a strong impact on us physically. It is believed that UVB directly damages DNA, causes skin aging and skin cancer, but is also the component of the UV light that is required for vitamin D production on our skin. UVA is believed to be less damaging and is used for tanning beds and treatment of psoriasis. Infrared light is at the other end of the spectrum, being the electromagnetic radiation with wavelength longer than the red light, also beyond our visible range. Infrared light has a wide range of industrial, scientific, military, commercial, and medical applications. The best known examples probably is the infrared sauna and night vision goggles. Most often, when we talked about the importance of light in health, the first thing that comes to mind is the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm, or biological clock, is a term broadly used to describe all regular, daily cycles of biological processes. Each individual has their own rhythm, and so does each organ and tissue. The idea is that our eyes sees the sunlight during the day or darkness at night, which signals our brain to tell the cells to act accordingly. Circadian rhythm is much more than a sleep-wake cycle. It also influences our mood, hunger, body temperature, digestion, and immune function, among other things. How do they all tie together? Hormones. Here are a few examples. Melatonin is a hormone produced by the pineal gland that helps with sleep. Light acts to inhibit its production, so melatonin levels tend to be low during the day. The dim light signals the pineal gland to start production. Studies have found that we get most sleepy about 2 hours after melatonin production starts. But it works differently if we take melatonin as a supplement to help sleep. Blood melatonin level peaks between 20 minutes and 2 hours after taking the supplement and can last up to an hour and a half. Because melatonin production naturally declines with age, studies of using melatonin in older subjects tend to show positive results. When we're talking about sleep and melatonin, another closely related hormone we have to mention is cortisol. Cortisol is the opposite of melatonin. It is associated with wakefulness. When our body is functioning normally, cortisol level peaks after waking in the morning and gradually declines throughout the day to its lowest level at around 2 to 4 a.m. Cortisol is typically called the stress hormone because their production increases in response to stressful events. Cortisol is a very powerful hormone produced by the adrenal glands. Nearly every organ and tissues in the body can be affected by cortisol. Its main functions are to regulate metabolism and blood pressure, as well as suppress inflammation. As we talked last time, cortisol counters the effects of insulin to trigger the release of glucose stored in the liver for fast energy during fight or flight mode. So if we're constantly stressed, keeping cortisol level high, it can lead to high blood pressure and diabetes. Another reason why chronic stress is bad for us. One more hormone I want to touch upon today is insulin. Following from what we talked about last time, Insulin is crucial in weight management and metabolism in general. Studies found that insulin sensitivity, insulin secretion, cholesterol synthesis, fat oxidation, and energy expenditure all have a circadian rhythm. Glucose tolerance peaks in the morning or early afternoon and then declines gradually throughout the day. Insulin secretion rate and total insulin secreted in response to a meal tends to peak later in the day as well. This suggests that it is better to eat earlier in the day, especially for carbs. Now, we just talked about how seeing light and dark in the environment signals melatonin production. But we don't just experience light and dark through our eyes. Our skin also senses light. How do we know that? Studies with blind subjects who cannot transmit light and dark signals to the brain through our optic nerves also experiences circadian rhythm, although they are more likely to have trouble sleeping because melatonin does depend on the ability to see light and dark. Besides being an immune, neural, excretion, and respiratory organ, our skin is also an endocrine organ. Our skin produces hormone for local use or release into circulation to affect different parts of the body. It can also activate the central hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis that is the center of our endocrine system. Here I have listed a few examples of the hormones that our skin can produce. Essentially, our skin can convert the UV electromagnetic energy of the sunlight into chemical, hormonal, and neural signals. And that is pretty amazing. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface in my understanding of the skin. Last thing I wanted to talk about today is to introduce you to the homeopathic remedy Sol. This remedy is made from sunlight. Sunlight is generally seen as the giver of light. One paper I read said that life on Earth may have started when simple organic molecules harnessed UV light energy and converted to high-energy chemical bonds to generate molecular complexity, perhaps initiating self-organizational patterns. Sunlight makes things perceptible and brings forth form and order out of chaos and darkness. It is often represents the masculine conscious ego. The cycle of the sun symbolizes the alternation of life, death, and rebirth. Here I've included a few themes that came out of approving of the remedy. The mental emotional symptoms seems to tied pretty closely to the symbolism of the sun. Interestingly, a few provers have bone pain. This, I'm guessing, may be related to sunlight's role in vitamin D production that is crucial for calcium absorption. And not surprisingly, Sol is indicated for sensitivity to the sun. I have heard very good results of using this remedy for sunburn. Here on this slide, I've included a few sun-related symptoms that is peculiar for this remedy is indicated. And that's all I wanted to cover today.